Hello, hello, hello. It is Wednesday, and I'm back from outer space. Hey, Linda, the Lord be with you. We're going to wait for some folks to catch up. Always takes a while for those Facebook notifications to go through, and we want to make sure that everyone is here for today's Bible study. Kudos to Pastor Goodman, who covered for me the last 2 days. He is top shelf wonderful of a teacher. I can't think of a better teacher than Pastor Goodman. I think there's a good one too. But you were in better hands than you normally are. And now you're back to slumming with me. Well, let's have some fun, shall we? We'll give it another few seconds. Yes, we're back. I love the flow charts too, Suzanne. I'm just not a flow chart guy. It's really that simple. I'm really a big fan of the flow charts, but I'm a Greek and Hebrew guy, and when you have me, you have an old Southern Baptist preacher just with a floppy Bible. That's just what they used to say about me. Oh, he's just he teaches like a Southern Baptist with a floppy Bible. It's because of my accent. So, let's get rocking, shall we? We love you anyway. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you very much. Colonel Davis is here, and we all want to give Colonel Davis a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Colonel Davis. Thank you for all you do. All right. Let's get cracking. I see all my old friends here. I see Jean. I see Priscilla, Terry Lynn, Bobby Joe. Yeah, I think my... Uh-oh. Yeah, that's weird. Microphone's on. That's just weird. That's just very weird. So, yeah. Yeah, that's just strange. We need to make sure it's the right microphone. There we go. All right. The right microphone is on. Time to rock and roll. All right, let's rock and roll, shall we? Volume's good now. Let's go. All right. John 6, also known as the chapter that Lutherans love to fight about. The chapter that Lutherans like to fight about. After what? Well, everything that Pastor Goodman did yesterday and the day before, which would be these few words here, which end with, I have come in my Father's name and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, you will receive him. How can you believe when you receive glory from one another and do not seek the glory that comes only from God? Is this not the story of our last 24 hours? How can you believe when you receive glory from one another and do not seek the glory that comes from the only God? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There's one who accuses you, Moses, on which you have set your hope. And if you believed Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote of me. But if you do not believe his writings, how will you believe my words? So that's Jesus saying, the guy behind Moses is me. All right. So after this, right. We're going to get to that. Rob is probably spot on. Generally, this is argued about whether or not he's addressing a communion or not. So hold up on the 4-page single-spaced letters until we get a little further. I got my first ever 4-page single-spaced happy letter today. It was from Maggie, who's in Ohio. And she made it a point when she asked me a question to give me a 4-page single-spaced letter. So thank you, Maggie, from Ohio. All right. After this, Jesus came on the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. A large crowd was following him because they saw the signs which he did on the sick. And that was last chapter. So now we've got the setup. We've got a large crowd. We've got Jesus. We've got the Jews not believing in him. Here we are. Okay? Here we are. Jesus went up on the mountain. Okay. We had this in Matthew, and it bears repeating. Okay. This is not just the GPS coordinates on where Jesus taught. You should sort of be thinking in terms of what God has done on mountains. And now would be a good time to list some of those things that you remember God doing on mountains. Because when God's, and we'll take them in the channel and I'll post them. When God's on a mountain, all right, generally when God's on a mountain, there's generally going to be a God strike, which is my word for God's about to do something cool. Okay? God's about to do something cool. Somebody's in the house and Thor's on patrol. He gave the commandments. He gave a ram. He gave the law from Sinai. He gave his life on a mountain. Generally, when God's on a mountain, Abraham was tested on a mountain, Terry Lynn. These are very, very good answers. Elijah, Mount Carmel. These are all very good answers. When you get on a mountain, expect God to do a big thing. And there he sat down with his disciples, like he did on the Sermon on the Mount. So he sat down with his disciples on the Sermon on the Mount, and he sat down with his disciples here. Beatitudes. You got it. You've got it, Bertha. You got it. You're on it. Look at all these. God swallows death on the mountain. I don't know who's the higher things account, but wowzers. Usually I'm the one that's the higher things account, but Thor's using his thumbs. Somebody's higher things is using their thumbs, and we got a whole slew of good things on a mountain. And there he sat down with his disciples, because you sit down to teach. In the New Testament, you taught sitting down. We call that lazy nowadays. The dean is in the house. I thought that such wisdom could only come from our dean, Pastor Aaron Finker. And we must be on our best behavior if the dean is here, because we don't want to It's like having the teacher, the principal in there when you're to observe you. So we will have to be on our bestest behavior. The theological doctrinal review team is in the house. The Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand, which was 4, which was 2, this reoccurring theme that the Passover is near. Because that's the way John keeps time. John keeps time by pointing you to the Passover. That's how John keeps time. So, time, we are always on our best behavior. I love it. I love it, Bobby Joe. Yes, we are angels here, Dean. You may move along. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along. Move along. Except that doesn't work on the Dean because he's so very sharp and such a gift to us. Lifting up his eyes to heaven. Lifting up his eyes, no heaven there. Seeing the large crowd coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, Pothin, yes, it was a Star Wars reference. Where are we going to buy bread so that they may eat? So that these ones may eat. So he looks up. He's sitting down. He's given the gospel. He looks up, sees all the people coming toward him. Where are we going to give them something to eat? And he said this to Perazon. That is to test him. So we're being observed by the dean, and Jesus is observing Philip. That sound of Diet Mountain Dew. This one's for you. He said this to test him, for he already knew what he was about to do. Passover, Old Testament, God's going to feed his people. That's what's about to happen. That's what's about to happen. If you learn anything else from today, it's God feeds his people. This is the gospel lesson today for the fourth Sunday in Lent in the traditional series, the feeding of the 5,000. Laetara, there's Pastor Finker. He said this. One of his disciples said to him, Andrew, who was Simon Peter's brother. Let's not skip Philip first. Philip answered him and said, Teacher, 200 denarii worth of bread would not be enough for each to get a bite. And one of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said, there's a kid here, there's a boy here, who has pinte ortus, that is 5 loaves of bread, and 2 fish. But what is this for so many? I mean, how's that going to work? The math doesn't work. Whoops, you've got the screen. You've got the wrong screen. You're getting me. You should be getting that. How does that work? There's a boy here, 5 loaves of bread, 2 fish. But how's that going to work? How's that going to work with so many? So Philip can do the math. 200 days worth of, we could work 200 days, get paid, minimum wage for 200 days, fair wage. And even after that, it wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be enough to feed these people, to give each of them a bite. Got 5 loaves of bread, 2 fish. What's that? That's 2 po' boys. For those of you who are scoring at home from Louisiana, that's 2 po' boys. All right? And Jesus, as is his way, does not acknowledge their answers. He simply says, have the men sit down. Now, there was grass in that place. Okay. Again, learning how to read the scriptures means understanding that sometimes things are not just there, like as an oh my. Hi, Priscilla, the Lord be with you. Sometimes things are not just in there as an oh my. Hey, what a great little factoid that John just gave us, that there was grass there. That's not what's going on here. That's not the only thing that's going on here. Sometimes in a debate, you need to let the person get a word in edgewise. Yes, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He restoreth my soul. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And so what we should take from this is he's going to feed his people. The Lord is the shepherd. He's going to feed his people. This anticipates, as the dean said, chapter 10. It also reminds us of the manna, which came from on high, the manna in the wilderness. Moses didn't give you manna. My dad gave you manna. So the men sat down, numbering about 5,000. Capernaum is the land of Zebulun and Naphtali, Galilee of the Gentiles. And the Lord is feeding his people. I'm not really certain why I highlighted this section. I can't undo it. The people walk in darkness have seen a great light. Those in the shadow of on those in the shadow of death, light has come. All right. So he took the bread and he Eucharist it. And then he gave it to them who were seated. So also in the same way, the fish, as much as they wanted. Now, here is a very clear moment where the fish, the bread, right, Donald, right. So like if nothing's happening, then what we're going to get is, if nothing's happening, is 2 fish. The fish is gone after 2 people, but that doesn't happen. That's not what happens. Interesting enough is this little word here, which I'm going to highlight, which means to, I'll tend to the notes later on. I'll tend to that highlighting later on. It's driving me bonkers. It's like an ADHD mess. That word means to give thanks. Eucharist later on means the Lord's Supper in the church. So you celebrate Thanksgiving every single Sunday. And so he took the bread, gave thanks, distributed it. So also the fish, as much as anybody wanted. And when they had eaten their full, when they were full, he said to the disciples, sun agata, which means, gather up. A synagogue is a place of, is a gathering of people. Gather up the leftovers, fragments, that nothing be lost. And this is similar to the manna from above. The manna was, you're not supposed to take extra manna, and there's not supposed to be leftovers. God doesn't do leftovers. God doesn't do leftovers. He doesn't, because God is not into the whole hoarding. God's not a hoarder. I really, 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 really hope that the text doesn't translate the hoarder in a different way. And also like the Passover lamb, which is great. This is, there's no leftovers there either. And so whether you're looking at it as a Passover lamb or you're looking at it like, this is just, God doesn't do leftovers. And so the leftovers are sort of gathered up as much as they wanted versus as much as they needed. I love that too, Terry Lynn. What a great comment that is. Nothing is lost. The Lord doesn't lose anyone. He doesn't lose you and me either. And when they had gathered them up, they filled 12 churchy baskets with leftovers from the 5 barley loaves and from the 5 loaves of bread and the left by those who had eaten. $12 baskets of bread from 5 loaves. 12 baskets of bread from the 5 loaves. I'll tell you, Faker's in the zone today. I think he was prepared to go today. He is in the zone. He's great. 12 baskets full. Why did I say churchy baskets full? Because 12 is the number of the church. 12 apostles, 12 prophets. Sorry, 12 apostles. Yeah, 12 prophets. 12 tribes. The Lord does 12s. So the man, seeing the sign, they all sang, I saw the sign, I saw the sign, I saw the sign. I'm sorry. There's just... Seeing the sign that he had done, they said, Hutos estin althos ha prophetes. It's like those who'd gobbled it up. I saw. So this is indeed the prophet who is to come in the cosmos, which, by the way, was the reference. Okay, let's go back just a touch. So you got to take 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, because opposites attract. There's the accusation. He tells them, you say that you listen to Moses, but you don't. You're hoping in Moses and not me. But Moses, if you believed Moses, you'd believe me, for he wrote of me. And then he does the very thing which will make that true. A prophet like Moses is in their midst. Don't miss this. Don't miss this. Yes, that was Paula Abdul, and I am... Monica, thanks for doing the counting, because, yeah, that was just... I'm sorry. I'm ashamed of myself, Monica. I don't know what my problem is. I think it was the 2 days off. Yeah. But don't miss this, because context is key. They make this thing, and they're like, and Jesus makes it clear. You put your hope in Moses. You don't put your hope in me. Moses wrote of me, and you don't listen. And then he does something which, like, shines the spotlight that he's the prophet that Moses promised would come after him. Matthew does a Sermon on the Mount to point out that Jesus is the prophet. John does the 5,000 to point out that Jesus is the prophet. What an excellent observation. Thinker is in the zone. And that's why he's the dean, friends. I want you to just sort of, and this happens so often with Jesus. And this is just an aside, okay? Jesus does this thing all the time, which is why you should take each pericope, each reading section in it, look above it, look above it, look below it, look below it. Because Jesus does this all the time. Pray the Lord of the harvest to send forth workers into his harvest field. And then he answers that prayer in the very next section when he sends the 70. Here, Moses talked about me. Feed 5,000. He's the prophet that Moses promised would come after him. He's the one who's going to take him to the promised land. Philip doesn't get it. Andrew doesn't get it either. We don't get it either. They don't get it. Because although you got to recognize, although they recognize that he's the prophet, just like he said, verse 14, listen to what happened. Jesus, knowing, I don't like perceiving. It's like Jesus has like spidey senses. You're going to make me king. Perceiving then that they were about to come and make him king by force. They were going to force him as king. He anerchoresin. He withdrew. Rob's got a great thing. What do they do What do they do? They do what do they do? They seek the glory which comes from men. That's the last chapter. That's the last chapter. Again, you seek the glory of each other rather than the glory of God. And there it is on display. They want to make him king because, as the dean says, but Jesus came not to be a bread king, though he was born in the house of bread, but he came to be a dead king. That's why he's the dean. What an amazing observation. What an amazing observation. That's the way this section starts. There's Eucharist right in the text. Ha! Ha! Oh no. Oh no. Rake is here. You can just imagine Rake looking through his phone. Oh, look, Borghardt, John 6. Nothing could go wrong there. So I want you to hold this pericope. Just hold this pericope. We're not going to do more than 2 pericopes today. But I want you to hold this pericope just to say this whole section begins with the feeding of the 5,000. And Jesus, as is his way, withdraws again to the mountain by himself. So, rather than sort of standing up and going, love me, say that you love me. No, he doesn't do that. Jesus does not do that. Can you imagine how much fees HT would have to pay to 80s artists for copyright? But just think it through. I mean, just think it through. Unlike us, who's like, subscribe, ring the bell, get the app, donate, love me. Jesus is like, yeah, no. And he sort of runs away. He runs away. He flees the glory that comes from men, which is different from us who adore the glory of men. That's the difference. And he does that fleeing. He does that faithfulness for you and in your place. And he goes back up to the mountain by himself. He runs away in John 6, but he comes forward at Gethsemane in John 18. That's Pastor Finker's wonderful observation. What a great man that is. Whew. Thor's had a long day. He's asleep on a pillow. And so when the evening happened, his disciples went down to the sea, and embarking into a boat, imbantus, they got into a boat. They started across the Thalassias, the Sea of Capernaum, to Capernaum. So they're going to go across the way see, the dean is just cheating. I mean, look at this. And this one. They come to make him king, although a different kind of king, a dead king. I am so excited that I get to teach with Pastor Finker this summer at the Higher Things conferences. I am so excited. That's all I'm going to say about that. When evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, getting into a boat. They started across the sea to Capernaum. It was dark. Jesus had not yet come to them. Dark. Nick came by night. Bad things happen at night. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness cannot comprehend it, grasp it, seize it. Darkness. He's in the dark. He's in the dark. What was that movie? Colonel Frank Slade, blind. I'm in the dark here. Al Pacino. What movie was that? Great speech at the end. Vessel of Sneego and Stitches. Somebody's going to give me that movie. It's going to come to me in just a bit. I just totally gone blank. My dad loved that movie. I can't remember what that movie's name is, but dark. In the darkness is the one. Scent of a Woman. What a great and all you had was the reference. See, that imitation was not that bad. I just want to say that imitation was not that bad. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The sea. Ha. Oh, the sea. A great wind. Blew and stirred up the sea. That's what it says. And they had progressed. They had rowed. They had rowed their boat not so gently on the sea. It looks like 5 stadia. 5 and 20 stadia, which they translate to be 3 or 4 miles. Look at you, Gene. Sea of Galilee is 13 miles long by 8 miles wide, so that they were probably in the middle. That is outstanding. That is outstanding. What a great observation. What a great observation. And they saw Jesus peripatuunta walking across the sea. And Egus. And coming near the boat, and they were afraid. Passive. Why were they afraid? Why? Why would you be afraid? You know, there you are, row in your boat, not so gently on the sea, and all of a sudden, the Lord of heaven and earth comes strolling up the boat. Because that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen normally. This is not something that happens. So wind's blowing, the boat's rocking, there comes Jesus. Just, taking a leisurely stroll across the sea. I mean, that's cool. And their reaction was not to sing a hymn. All praise to thee, my God, this night for all the blessings of the light. Keep me, oh, keep me. Oh, you know the rest. That's my Joe Biden impression for today. But what he says to them is such a gift. Don't miss this. I want you to learn some Greek. You have to learn this Greek in order to pass this class. Ego eimi. I am. Ego eimi. I am. Don't be afraid. I am. Don't be afraid. Look. It is I is such a weak translation. He's like, that's not what's going on here. That's not what's going on here. This is not, oh yeah, Jesus, yo, bro, give me an elbow. Yeah, it's good to see you, bro. And he's like, yeah, Peter, Simon. No, that's not what's going on here. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is ego eimi. I want you to learn this Greek. Say it with me. Ego eimi. I want you to recognize this Greek. Ego eimi. Ego eimi. Say it with me. Ego eimi. Ego, my eimi. Ego like Lego my ego. And eimi like the Greek word eimi, which means I am. Ego eimi is I am, very emphatic, as in I am who I am. This is going to come up over and over and over again in John's gospel. It has already come up a few times. I am the bread of life. I am the good shepherd. I am, and they'll all fall down in John 18. I am the light of the world. Ego eimi. Ego eimi me phobeste. I am, don't fear. You see, the reason why they don't have to fear is because the guy whose God is Jesus. Look, I get that he's walking on the water, and that is just, oof. That's otherworldly. The guy who's walking on the water is the Lord Jesus. God walks on the water. I did not miss this. His path is through the sea, Psalm 77. That's Liza Dean. He knows his Psalter. But don't miss this. When you think of God and you're scared because God is big, he's powerful, he's mighty, all those things. Like the children sing. Our God is so big, so strong, and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do for you. When you think of it, you grow up and realize not all the time God being big, a real comforting thing, because what if he's not on our side? What if he's mad at us? What if he knows what we've done? And here, very clearly, he's walking across. He walks across the sea in order to get into the boat. Ego eimi. I am. Don't fear. I'm the God who saves you. You don't got to worry about the storm. You got to worry about the waves. I'm the God who saves you. And the God who saves you is the one, the bread, not the bread king, the dead king. The one who's going to die on the cross for you. Ego eimi. I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm the God who saves. I'm the God that's for you. And that's the God who's taken a leisurely stroll, not in a garden this time, but across the water. Could Adam walk on water? That's a song for another time. And then they were glad to receive him, lambano. Our old friend Lambano from chapter 1, as many as receive him, he gives the right to become children of God, children born not of human decision or will, but of God. Debbie, I'm going to leave that to the dean. That is an outstanding question. Okay? They were glad to take him into the boat. They were glad to receive him. They were glad to believe in him. They were glad that he was there. Excuse me. That's not the Rona. My corona. That's not my corona. That's just a cough. They were glad. They were happy to receive him into the boat. And Etheus, they were immediately, the boat was at the land to which they were going. So this time, he doesn't call them the sea or the waves. This time, he simply gets them to shore. Okay? This time, he just gets them to shore. Like, they're there. And that goes with, Mom's observation earlier, Mom Small, that they're in the middle of the lake, in the storm, in the rough rain, in the rough wind, rowing their little lives off, not so gently on the sea, and they didn't dream this. Life was not a dream for them. It was real. And it was centered in ego eimi me phobisthetha. I am, don't fear. I don't know, Monica, what the record is for bad singing, but I'm almost there. But don't worry, because I'm almost done. Okay? And they were immediately at the shore. I don't know whether or not, excuse me, he moved them along faster or what, but they were immediately at the shore. Praise God, they were saved. Tomorrow, the crowd's going to find him. You know, I don't know. I just said, Tim, you're right on. Is it was this a miracle, or do they not realize it? What's going on? All I know is the one who is the 12er has rescued his church on the water, through the water. Usually you get more singing, the more rest I've gotten. Now, this is important. I want you to go to store.higherthings.org. Store.higherthings.org. And I want you to support the work of Higher Things. Check out this mug. Would you look at this mug? Look at the mug on that mug. Wait, no. Higher Things is a youth organization which is all about passing on the faith to the next generation. Their work is necessary, is needed in these dark times. In these Scotia times, you need the ego eimi, the I am, in the ears of your children. And so I want you to go to store.higherthings.org, check the new merch out there, store.higherthings.org, and get the new merch. You too could be as cool as me. And if you don't see anything there, I would invite you to go to support.higherthings.org and just make a tax-deductible gift. Every little bit. Every little thing you do is magic for this organization. Everything that you can do for this group, which allows us to do this Bible study every day and allows us to get together on this. Also, one last little bit of question for you is, I'm wondering about what the best time for this Bible study is so that we can have maximum gift for people. So you guys who are watching, I want you to be prepared on Friday for me to take a informal poll on when. Yeah, it is a nice mug. Thanks, Maggie. I want you to be prepared for me to take an informal poll. We started this and it was 2 o'clock was a good time because we were all in the pandemic, but now only some of us are in the pandemic. Rob, you are already cooler than me. I want you to sort of take an idea on what Maggie, I'm thinking that a little later might be helpful, but I want you to hold that time, and I'm going to ask you on Friday, and we'll go from there. All right. Have a blessed day. Thanks for staying with us. Remember, little Greek we learned today, ego eimi. Say it with me. Ego eimi. Ego eimi. That is I am, as in I am. Don't fear. And that's the same word for you, for our country, for our government, for our leaders, for our people, for our church, for the pandemic. Don't fret. Ego eimi is on the job. I am tells you not to fear. Have a blessed day. I'll see you tomorrow at 2.